Hello, and welcome to the Innovia Conversation. I'm Steve Waltz.
And I'm Jeff Podolsky.
And Jeff, today I'm really excited. We actually have our guest is from the podcast we had the most listens to last year, backed by popular demand.
Is it Holly?
Holly's family isn't as big as Donovan's, I guess. So
it's not.
I don't know. You got a big fan base.
But we're excited to have back Donavan Lane, our owner and our founder. Welcome, Donavan.
Thank you. This is fun. Thanks for inviting me. I'm like, I don't know if they ever want me back again.
If you haven't listened to any of our podcasts, we did a podcast last year with Donavan. And one of the things I get asked a lot, I'm sure Jeff does too, is like, how long you been in business? How did you get started? And Donavan really got into detail on it. And it was just a great podcast. So if you get a chance, or you haven't listened to it, I would go back and listen to that, and you can really get the history of Innovia. So, but Donavan, it was I think I was telling you earlier, my wife listened to that one twice. She just thought that was just one of the best podcasts she did. So.
Well, here, I'll join you. Long-time listener, first-time caller.
And it finally convinced Jeff to get you back on a second podcast. So,
yeah. Oh, it'll be fun. It'll be fun.
So what I'm going to do this time, because normally Jeff tells me I'm a podcast bully and I kind of control the questions. So I'm going to let Jeff start the questions off. How about that?
Ooh, Steve, I was not prepared for that. I was going to sit back the next half hour and just listen to you pepper Donavan with questions. So, okay, well, I will start with maybe this is the right spot, maybe it isn't. But last podcast told us about what how you started Innovia, and we went back. So that was in 2020. I guess this is first part of 2021. So what's different in 2021, and how are things going?
Oh, well, we're just growing by leaps and bounds. I think this is, if I had like the fun factor, with that little needle that was, I would say the whole 40 years has been fun, right? Yeah, but you always have some challenges and such that you have to deal with at the time, and then you get through it because everything passes, right? But I would say it's been just this last like 12 months I'd say the last 3 years has just been an absolute blast. You look at how we work with each other. Remember, the reason we're here is to make money. I mean, think about it. I mean, we're in business. Business is designed to make money for the shareholders. But when you can do it having fun, and you can do it, the way it should be done, and I guess the mission is not only as a business to be profitable, but it's also to take that to our team. If we can help the burdens of our staff, which is two things, having a relationship, a trusted relationship with a direct manager. And number two is having a job that they can be successful every day, And so you think about what we've done this last couple of years, especially with the digital transformation then we'll talk about our customers. We've had to mold Innovia into delivering licenses and subscriptions and cloud and Azure, and it's not all about Dynamics 365 Business Central, but that's the base of it. Well, anyway, bottom line, I think what's most cool is to be able to bring a job to our team that they're highly, highly skilled. I mean, these guys, there's very few of them. When you talk about the application consultants and the development consultants and the business analysts, I mean, it takes a lot of skill, a lot of years, a lot of understanding. And when you can have them just have an absolute blast, even in a COVID year, it's cool. It's really cool.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Yeah. And I know that just sort of along the lines of that, like thinking about our mission statement, that, building lasting relationships that exceed clients' expectations through teamwork, dedication, and innovative thinking. I mean, I think that's it's certainly easier to do that when you're having fun and you like the people that you work with, and and so I would say that I can remember some times over the last 12 years that I've been here that maybe it didn't feel like quite as much fun, but I mean it always has been. I've always loved the people that I've worked with here, and so I think that that's great, especially like as I'm listening to you say that, thinking about what has been a really challenging time for a lot of businesses with COVID, and that we have been fortunate that not only have we been able to hold our own and thrive in this environment, but even more importantly, we've been able to help our customers, whether it's being flexible on licensing and figuring out ways to help them cash flow stuff during the really crunch of COVID, or be able to implement some systems that make them more efficient and can reduce costs. It's been really great. So now, Steve, I'm going to turn it back over to you, and I'll just shut up.
Well, I'd love to, what we can kind of do. I think what the listeners kind of like last year's, I was able to kind of share with them a little crystal ball. What's my predictions, for the next couple of years. It's always interesting to get that kind of insight in what they can expect, from their job, from this technology, from this world, and from things, and kind of let them kind of get prepared for that. So, Steve, you had a question.
Well, I think more of a comment, and you're talking about the culture and it being fun, and I worked for a very large corporation, and it was just it was truly the speak, right, and when I retired there and came over, I was really looking for that company that was through the customer's eyes, are we winning, right? And that's what I've enjoyed with May will be 6 years, Donovan. It's amazing. I'm like, holy crap, now I'm 6 years older, but anyway.
So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the number one thing when it comes to culture is doing the right thing. You always know what doing the right thing is, and when you look at it from that angle, let me give you two examples of that. And if you don't mind, I'm actually going to talk about two customers, and it's easy just to say it by name, But anyway, so here's doing the right thing. So Microsoft a year ago, or a couple of years ago, when they released Business Central SaaS, you basically, in order to implement Business Central in Australia, you had to do it through the Australian Partner Center, and you had to do it with an Australian tenant. So what is a tenant? A tenant is an apartment, right? In an apartment building. So you think of an area like Australia or Belgium or the United States. There's a little server sitting somewhere in the United States, and your tenant is the space that you have signed up for. So at Innovia, our tenant is www.innovia.com. That's where all our stuff goes. So all of our structure, our users, if we hire another employee, the security is to that little apartment building. The keys to get open up the door in our apartment building is Azure Active Directory, and all our data is in that little apartment. Right? It's the couches, all our stuff that we own is in that apartment. Well, Microsoft, when they released Business Central, in order for us to have rules for the country, right? So in the United States, we have 1099s, right? We have W-2s. Well, they don't have a W-2 in Australia. They have a W-2 in the United States. It's our regulatory reporting. So in our little apartment building with all of our employees that have keys to open the door, the W-2 or the Business Central is important for the United States. Well, what about Netherlands? And Netherlands has reporting that they have. So now we have customers that are all over the world, right? And not just here in the United States. So, here's doing the right thing. So one of our customers, Caplugs, in order to deliver Business Central SaaS to their countries and their tenants that they have in these areas, we had to create a separate tenant for Australia. So they logged in as Australia. We had to create a separate tenant for Germany or whatever. And now a year later, Microsoft made it possible for us to have all of their employees have one key, but then have the the tenant data itself, the Business Central database, be implemented in that country or in that language. So doing the right thing is we were able to bring all of their stuff back together here in the U.S. and price it extremely below what they were paying in the other countries. Then why did we bring that to them, even though it was to the detriment of Innovia making money? Because it was the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do. Here's another example of the right thing to do as a company. Last year in COVID, Microsoft announced that, hey, we'll help companies out. Everyone pays annual enhancement. Why? I mean, 99.999% because that annual enhancement, is always carried forward with NAV. Just because it's a customization thing, Business Central is highly customized, and so they definitely make sure they pay their annual enhancement that pays for things. Well, so what Microsoft did last year is they released this enhancement plan called CSP-EP. CSP-EP. Basically, what it does, if your annual enhancement is $30,000 a year, or so call it $36,000 a year, then you could, instead of cutting Innovia a check for $36,000, you can cut Innovia a check every single month for $3,000. So it helps alleviate cash flow. All right, well, that's a great thing. But what also that particular subscription does, not only does it reduce the monthly payment, but most companies, they budget for their annual enhancement yearly. Cutting a check for $36,000 isn't really that big a deal. So the adoption rate was really kind of small. So I'm getting to the right thing. So, but what that particular monthly enhancement subscription does, it also has backwards compatible rights. It's the only one. So think about it. If you get a company that's on NAV 2009, if they bought that annual enhancement, they pay nothing more for it, they can get backwards compatible rights all the way back to 2009, get a license for 2009. What does that do for them? Well, when they go to upgrade, sometimes it takes a year or two to bring all those customizations of 2009 forward to NAV 2018 or to Business Central. Sometimes it takes more than a year. Microsoft only gives you 2 versions back. So a lot of our customers only have 6 months before they run out of the version that they're working on. So as an example, right now, the current version of NAV is 2017, Business Central version 17. April 1st, so right now the customer can get version 16 and 15. They actually made a special case for 14. Right? In 14, they were required to go to extensions, lose their ability to create things with Seaside. Well, this annual monthly enhancement plan allows that customer to keep their NAV 2018 or keep their NAV 2015 for a little while, gives them time to do things in Seaside yet. They don't have to move everything to extensions right away, and basically buys them time to get the development done. That's huge. So what's the right thing? We got customers that sent us checks already. So Innovia always does the right thing. So Stonewall Kitchen, their annual enhancement that comes to my mind, their annual enhancement was April 1st, right? So Innovia cuts them an invoice 70 days before, they cut a check, and boom, we deposit the check. Well, all of a sudden they found out, and we told them it's not about the money, it's about what you can do. You have backward compatible rights to your version. You need to get this annual enhancement plan. Nobody cuts a check back. We give them their money back. Now, as a partner, if you think the partners look at that annual enhancement as a huge cash flow thing, that's huge. And now you give it all away. But because Innovia has amazing culture, because we're having a blast, we do the right thing, we make our money in a lot of different ways. I mean, customers buying Azure licenses from us is just unbelievable. We spin up an Azure tenant or Azure subscription almost 2 months now. As far as CSP, the new way of buying Microsoft licensing. Yeah, so bottom line is when you do the right thing, all good things happen.
Right. That's a good point. And you start whipping off all the initials and stuff. I do think Microsoft should have a playbook for all the acronyms they have. It's CSP, EP, SQL, whatever it takes, right? 220, 221. It's a whole new language when I came over. But
we should really clarify that, because a lot of our customers have gotten phone calls and emails from our sales account managers to say, you need to click the CSP link. What is that? That's the digital choosing your partner. I mean, when you choose Innovia as your Business Central partner, right? The on-prem version, you do a change of partner, just like you're changing, insurance agents type of thing. It's an easy thing to do. The cloud service provider is the same thing. A NAV partner is a cloud service provider. Not all of them have a direct partner relationship like Innovia does. We're very few in that. But that CSP link is really important to click because it allows us to issue you and sell you that subscription. So all of you that are listening that now understand the most important thing that you need to do this year is do not pay your annual enhancement in annual. Make sure you pay it monthly because it gives backwards compatible rights. Well, to do that, you have to click the CSP link. We can't issue you a monthly subscription for that enhancement plan that gives you that backwards compatible rights until you click the link. And what happens is sometimes the individual that usually needs to click that link is a global admin. And so normally at Innovia, we work with the CFO, the folks that are dealing with money or dealing with the inventory and such. But in most cases, the person that handles the key to the tenant, that Azure Active Directory, that global admin, is the CIO or the network analyst or the network person. So now we're kind of marrying those two functions together, and that's pretty cool. But it also helps too. One last thing on the CSP link. It helps. Innovia is a level 3 GC government cloud computing. We are GCC level 3 high qualified, which means that our security, all of our employees, when they log in, they have to use multi-factor authentication. We have to provide a security statement and be audited by Microsoft. We're leaders, so we're held to a higher standard, which means that the weakest link is the least secure. We make sure that all of those things are audited with Microsoft, and if we can be secure for the Department of Defense, I think we can be secure for commercial.
Right, and when you say CSP, so to our listeners, that's Cloud Solution Providers, and when we first started talking about it, it's confusing, but it's not. So it's really to where, like you said, you can have multiple CSPs. Like when we say a CSP, there's a link that they click and make us one of their cloud solution providers, and you can have multiple. And when I try to explain it to customers, it's for I don't know what it is. If it's their IT contract they have, or they scare them or whatever. Like, no, it's okay. You can have multiple ones. It's all right. And that's and Jeff and I did a podcast on it. We'll be doing more. Maybe we'll have you come back on one of just really on that CSP because it's it is licensing. What you just talked about. Way.
So here's my prediction. Here's my crystal ball. Right, in 3 months to 6 months from now, it's the only way that you're going to buy a license. So customer source is gone. So those of you that have tried to get into customer source, you can't even get in there anymore. Partner source, the way that the traditional, when you want to buy a user of Business Central, you call your partner, and then the partner goes on to Microsoft's partner source and puts an order in. And then we download your new license and we issue that license. Those days are gone. Partner source will be gone by the end of the year. So if a customer wants to buy another user, they are going to have to call their cloud service provider, which it's a Microsoft term. No one else has it. It's not an ISV, it's Microsoft. It's Microsoft's order entry system, and it's their billing system. And they completely redid the whole company, the whole Microsoft ecosystem to the cloud service provider. So it's not going to the cloud. They don't have to go to the cloud, but it's the billing system. So So here's my prediction. 3 months, 6 months from now, those perpetual on-prem licenses are only going to be ordered from your CSP. And if you haven't clicked the CSP link with your partner, you're not going to be able to order a license.
Yeah, it's getting where it's going. And, that kind of led me to a question I've been thinking about. So when you first heard about this cloud world, right? When Microsoft was either heavy into it or just thinking about it, I mean, did you see it where it would be now? I mean, 10 years ago, did you think the cloud would be where it's at now? I'm kind of curious to get your take on that.
Well, we did a lot of right things about 4 or 5 years ago. One of the things that we did was because we're always involved in what's called the early adopter programs. So being in the top 3 to 5 partners in North America, we get to test the software and test the things before they're available to the general public. And so there was a code base called Project Madeira, which basically took NAV, and modeled it with extensions, modeled it with a new development platform, kind of getting away from the old development side. And so we created products off of that. And so we got to work with it well in advance. Well, when we did that, little did we know, when we signed the agreement for the early adopter program, we also became a cloud service provider. So we were highly likely we were one of the, well, I can tell you, we were one of the first 3 cloud service providers in the United States. And so the ability to do that was always there. And that was interesting. So after they released Business Central, the April 1st of 2018, I think, was the first actual release of it. We already had, 10, 12, 15 customers on it. And we already had tested the manufacturing processes, the inventory processes. So we were a CSP and we didn't even know it. Because remember, CSP is not about the cloud. CSP is about the billing system for buying things. So CSP is how you buy a license. Last week, one of our customers called up and said, "Hey, we have an RDS box. What does RDS stand for?"
Remote desktop services.
It's like,
notice I deferred that to Jeff.
What does DOS stand for? So they have a remote desktop server, just like everyone has a domain controller if they got a Windows, platform. And he said, "I have to buy 10 more CALs. Can I buy them through you?" And we said, "Yeah." So as of January 1st, Microsoft sells all of the CALs, SQL Server, all that through their CSP partner. Now, that might not necessarily be your NAV partner. Not all NAV partners are CSP partners. Some of them are indirect. Some of them don't buy much from Microsoft, and they have to buy that through distribution. Innovia is. Our systems are linked directly into Microsoft's billing system. So that customer we were one throat to choke. They didn't have to deal with calling, an infrastructure house and figuring out how to buy CALs from Tech Data or Ingram or MicroD or whatever. They were able to call Innovia, ask for 10 RDS CALs, client access licenses, and 5 minutes later, boom, we had them on there. Sent them the initialization key. They took the key, put it on the box, and they got it.
Right. So Donavan, on the licensing. On Business Central licensing, do you think Microsoft made a statement, because you could have concurrent licenses with NAV? And so if you buy an on-premise license for Business Central, it's pretty close to the same price of what a NAV license is, but it's just like a SaaS license. It's a name license. I mean, when you first heard that, were you like, Microsoft's making a statement, or what was your feeling when you saw that?
Yeah. So, we were instrumental. I don't know if you realize this kind of. These are things that just make you feel go giddy. We were really instrumental in the issues that customers had on named users. So let's think about this logically, and I'll kind of pick on, for example, Stonewall Kitchen again. Stonewall Kitchen has 70 users, right? And however, they have 261 people that access their system. So why is that important? Well, because if they were to purchase Business Central, they were there. You get when you go to Business Central, you have to go to named users. Okay? So in most manufacturing processes, you got one PC sitting in the back manufacturing area. You might have 12 people that use it. Yeah, you might that might be a device, or it might be individual people. If you want to record individual people, so the problem is inside of NAV, the way your security is set up. In Business Central, they're going to named users. Well, what does that do? Well, that's not fair to Stonewall Kitchen and make them go out and purchase, 210 more users. So we petitioned and Microsoft immediately. We said, hey, listen, we need more than if you can't force somebody to pay more for the exact same thing that they have. So the policy change that we initiated. So what happened was at first they were getting 2-to-1. I said 2-to-1's not good enough. We worked with Antonio in the licensing department at Microsoft. We said, listen, we're going to send you a list of all of our customers that need to have at least 3-to-1. So we just barraged them one day. I mean, Antonio was taking on a new position at Microsoft. And so he was basically almost like stamping a pardon, we had sent him like 10 customers that needed it at least 3-to-1. And they were granting it, just as fast as they could stamp on the approval, they were doing it. Well, that's how it came to be. A couple of months later, then Microsoft said, you know what, when we go to named users, we do really need at least 3-to-1 that you're going to get for free. And so they actually wrote it into policy, as of May 1st, 2019, whatever your license count is, you get 3-to-1. Well, here's what's even better than that. If customers sign up for the monthly enhancement plan, which you'd be stupid not to. There's no downside. If you sign up for the monthly enhancement plan, you get backwards compatible rights. You get 4-to-1 in the cloud. You get 75% free users. So we had one customer that had 210 on-prem users. They get 840 cloud users, 800 for free, and your maintenance doesn't go up at all. Now, what does that do for you? Well, as you grow over the next 10 years, you don't have to get rid of them. Now, they're free for the next 3 years, so you do have to go back and really look and see how many you need, in 3 years from now. And you can always reduce the count. You don't have to. You don't have to keep them all. Free is not free. But anyway, so I guess, you think about the history of Innovia and kind of the fun that we've had in kind of working together on all these processes and bringing this to light and the passion we have for it. And we can have that fun. We can do those things because we make our money in so many different ways. We make our money off of our services. We make our money off of enhancement, off of cloud services, perpetual licenses like with Azure. So it just renders ourselves to be able to just do the right thing. And then we can also lower the amount of time that our staff really has to work. If you look at things, we look at 70% utilization is perfect, 75 actually. So we don't grind our developers to be billing out time. We don't grind our ACs to be on site, cranking out, hours because that's the only way that a partner makes money. It's not us. We like to have a holistic approach. We like to make sure that we always do the right thing for our customers. And we like to be, and what we found is, back to your comment earlier, Steve, about your CSP, your cloud service provider. You have to choose that. By the way, Microsoft is not going to allow you to buy licenses direct underneath 1,000 licenses in the next year. Prediction, right? So right now,
book that, Jeff. Bookmark this. We'll come back in a year.
I am recording this podcast.
Yeah, you mark my word. So what they're going to do is because Microsoft doesn't want to take little piles of money on a credit card. We cut them checks for millions of dollars. That's what they want. They do not want to take. They don't want to take a credit card with $35 on it. So that business that bought an Office 365 E3 for $20 and's got 3 of them, they're going to have to find a CSP. So all of our customers, fortunately, our customers already buy a lot of their office licensing from Innovia, and even Azure and other things. But I guess the point is what you were saying earlier. You can have lots of mommies and daddies that love you. You don't have, Innovia doesn't need to be your only CSP. We were just talking earlier, the customer just chose Innovia from Austria, right? That company from Austria that is now our client, they can have a CSP in Europe, and they can also have Innovia in the United States. They can buy the same office license. You get one pool of licenses. Say you got 500 employees, you got 500 Office E3 licenses. You can buy 250 of them from Innovia and 250 of them from the local partner that you like to use. When you go to assign the license, you just got one big pile of 500 licenses, right? So they all go into the same bucket. Now, typically customers don't like to do that. Typically customers like one throat to choke. They want to get one bill, from a provider worldwide, and we can certainly offer that. But you're not required to. The beautiful thing about CSP is we are rating we are judged on our performance. If you don't like how we do business, you can fire us in a heartbeat. You just click the button and boom, we are no longer your CSP. Boom, we take away those delegated admin rights. Boom, you just choose somebody else. So Microsoft made it incredibly easy to switch a partner with a push of a button. And so what does that do for us? It makes Innovia not only want to be a better partner, but we have to be a better partner.
Oh, absolutely, Donovan. Because, when I talk with prospective clients, and I kind of talked a lot of the points you just brought up, how we really, we don't force our delivery folks to have to bill a full week, right? Because that gives them time for growth, development, learn the ISVs, learn the new code, and just really, grow in their time here at Innovia. And that the fact that what we try to do when we're talking with them is as you said, do the right thing, right? And I think the thing that I really would enjoy talking with them is because I was just talking with somebody the other day, and when I explained to them that 30% of all end users, customers change partners on an annual basis, couldn't believe it, right? Just couldn't believe it. And a lot of it is the mindset of just install the software, go on the next one. And I think when you and the leadership team took a look back a while back, okay, here's these customers out here in pain. They're not, they either bought from a low bidder, they just didn't get the software set up correctly. Let's find a way not only to fix that, but to be a leader in it. And I think it's really cool on kind of like, if you look back, 20 years ago, we're at almost 70 employees now. And we're like the landing spot for the for the talent. It's been fun to watch, but it's that mindset of when I tell customers that, they're like, really? And the fact that like account management team. Now, granted, I know Jeff got moved from an account manager to pre-sales. But that's another topic. No, we got to have somebody smart doing it.
Jeff gets to play all day long, all right?
He gets to play on the software and demo all day long. He gets all the fun stuff, but the fact that we go on site and get to know the customer's business. And we were talking with somebody, like, they're so complex, we're going to go down there for a couple of days and come back and they don't get a bill. They're like, no, you really?
Well,
yeah, that investment is.
I think it all boils down to, because we're a business, right? We need to be, it's fun to be profitable. You need to be profitable, man. But it's how we make our money, and so what we do is, because we're able to sell Azure and have the skill set to be able to transform, to move your servers when they die on-prem, move them up to somebody else's server room and put them on Azure. And we have PCs that support all those. Technical consultants that are Azure experts at Innovia, licensing experts at Innovia. Bottom line is, we make our money in a lot of different ways, so it allows us to have dedicated account managers. So you think of like a Gary Harpinell or Scott Bersodi. These are guys that run companies.
Right.
These are guys that this is not just your ordinary account manager. This is a guy that you look at Bob Barrett. I mean, out of last year, I think a third of it he was a part-time CIO
Right.
for his customers. You look at Jeff Pergalski. You were the CIO for one of our customers for almost 6 months, back and forth to Kentucky. Right?
And they're still in business, by the way.
So why can we do that? Why can we do that? Because we make small little bits across a whole bunch of things. Because all we do is NAV, all we do is Business Central. So it was a huge game changer. And by the way, those guys don't come cheap. We're not going to talk salaries, but they don't come cheap. Right.
Right. And,
so what happens though is, we found the royal math about 30 to 50 customers per every one of those account managers. We're the only NAV partner that has the ratio of free account managers to customers.
And when I talk with prospective clients, Donovan, I explained to them, I said, look, we talked about those numbers. They're profound. So when we lose a customer, I think of Lids, right? Because they're here in Indiana. It's not we lost them because they switched partners. They got bought out by Genesco and they went to SAP. And it seems like those are the ones that leave us. But so what I explain is, here it is. The cost of acquisition, we're not losing people. So we don't have to go hunt for those. So we don't hunt for really net new business, right? And that we don't lose a lot of people. And so when we're investing in our relationship with the account manager, when it's time to do the heavy lifting of the next project, we're your guys. Right. And and it's just a great model.
It's a huge, you can't just start a company like this. That's the other thing too. It's in order to go out and we had last payroll, I think, was 73 employees. You can't just go out and hire 30 account managers. You just be underwater. So you have to have started this like we did 40 years ago. But you look through the customer's eyes. If I was Don Wademan from Garner Industries, what does Don get? Don gets a person that he doesn't have to worry every time he talks to is going to bill him for by the hour. So Don gets a dedicated support person in Gary Harpenham. Don gets a pre-sales guy like Jeff Pergalski. He had a very cool question on Power BI. Everyone wants to use Power BI. Does Power BI have anything to do with Business Central?
Are you asking us?
I
want to say no, but I'm usually bad on.
But it doesn't. It does. The data is sitting there in Business Central, right? But that analytics, he wanted to expose it on a Teams viewer. So his question was, I got 200 people that need to use this Power BI report. Do I need Power BI Premium, or can I get the $10 Power BI license? Does it have anything to do with Business Central? Kind of yes, kind of no. Right. So Don was able to get Scott and the rest of the team on, get us on the line, and we were able to explain, well, the enterprise version of Power BI, yeah, it's expensive. It's $49.95 a month. But it's better. But is it more expensive than a $10 license? But I guess the point being is that it didn't cost them anything to make that phone call to Innovia.
Right.
And we were able to save them a ton of money. So the people that should be calling Innovia is not just the CFO, not just the money guy that's dealing with inventory and accounting. It's the CIO. It's the guy that's handling their Azure Active Directory. The guy that's got, all their servers there sitting in their server room that are about to die next year. Why would you spend $250,000 for those servers when you can go to Azure? You call Gary Harpenham, you call Scott Bersotti, you call Deb Adler, you call your salesperson, and we have the technical consultants that can relocate your server to somebody else's server room and save you a ton of money.
Yeah, I think that when I think back, Steve, to that presentation we did at I think it was in Atlanta for a user group presentation a couple of years ago. When I brought up the point that because of the changes in the application, because of Business Central and it being integrated across the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, it makes it really important that your partner understand those connections and how to leverage those on your behalf. And that's where I think part of Innovia's success has been. Like, I remember 7 or 8 years ago when Office 365 was BPOS, Business Productivity Online Suite, and I was migrating people with 3 laptops on my dining room table because they didn't have the migration tools or anything else, but we were already transacting in it, and we have been. So we were, when Microsoft said cloud first, mobile first, we were clearly, some people in leadership at Innovia were listening, and so we've been doing it a long time. And then that just brings expertise when I get on phone calls with prospects and they're asking us about, the licensing side of things and what can we get for a trial, but then start to talk to them about, well, then this integrates really nicely with these Office 365 SKUs, and we talk about, Power BI and all that, and it just really adds value to the conversation for our customers.
And Donavan, I think we should have you back on another podcast to maybe get into that IoT AI conversation, right? Because what Jeff just said, it's the platform now, the stack, what Microsoft likes to call it. It's going, well, you just talked about Power BI. So if, truly, conversations I like to have with prospective customers or current customers is, look, we can help you with your ERP system, but what is your ERP system there to do, right? If you truly want to go and help your data, help you sell more product, increase the customer experience, open more communication internally, Microsoft has a stack laid out. It's just a conversation, I think, where by having our account management team and our delivery teams and interacting with us consistently, we're able to have those clairvoyant conversations with our customers about taking advantage of all this access to data. So I know we got about 5 more minutes, Donavan. So
let's play future. Let's play my predictions. Let's play a little crystal ball here.
All right, let me get my pen out here. Okay. Not that's just being recorded. Let's open up to live callers. We don't have that capability, do we, Jeff?
Can you?
Go ahead, Donavan.
We should actually try that sometime. So here's my prediction. Right, you're going to need to purchase additional on-prem licenses through a CSP in the next 12 months.
I heard 6 months last time. What happened?
6. Well, you can do it right now. Obviously, right now. But
I'm just kidding. All right, I'm going to put 12 months.
Customers have to click that CSP link. It's a different. Right. It's choosing Innovia as your cloud service provider, and you want to do that now. You don't have to buy anything. Remember, it's not a purchase decision. It's basically just creating that connection that says we are able to sell you things through Microsoft's new billing system. That's it. So click the link.
Right.
Accept Innovia as your cloud service provider, because in 12 months from now, that's the only way that you're going to buy additional product.
Okay.
Another prediction. I think that the get your Azure subscription now. Don't wait until your Exchange server that costs you $70,000 goes down. My prediction is, we are spinning up about 36 or so a year or so, but 2, 3, 4 months. That's going to triple. You look at a customer base. I don't know, both 600, whatever, 300 with AAP. Those customers, at least a third of them, are going to have servers that die. The server 7-year cycle. My prediction is in 2022, we're going to have a third of our customers that are going to want to go to Azure and move. They're going to keep all their on-prem software. They're going to keep all their Business Central on-prem. They're just going to move their servers to somebody else's server room. We cut our ties 5 years ago. We haven't had a server for 5 years. And look at how we've been able to operate. We got 73 employees that operate anywhere on the planet.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's speed, no issue. Connectivity, no issue. You hear any choppiness in this phone call? Nobody's been on Teams for 3 years. Yeah. So I guess the bottom, so that's prediction. So get your Azure subscription because you only need one. Call Innovia, get a free Azure subscription. It costs you nothing. It's a pay as you go. So you only get charged for it if you use it. Get an Azure subscription, have it be in your back pocket. So on a Sunday afternoon, when your CIO wants to mess around with creating VMs, you can do so. Have it there before you need it.
So you can actually buy an Azure license. It's like the electric bill. I remember you saying, right? So do you have to pay a maintenance fee for that license, or so if you just buy it and you don't use it for 2 months, you get no bill?
No bill. So
wow.
it's kind of like calling the power company and having them hook up electrical service.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You don't get charged for the meter, right? But you know what? If you turn your light bulbs on in 5 years from now, that's only when you get billed. You only get billed for what you use.
Okay.
So everybody should have two things. They should have a monthly enhancement plan. They should have an Azure subscription, even if you're not using it. Order it, get it set on your system, get that thing put in place, because in 3 years from now, when you want to use it, it's not going to be between the business hours. Your CIO doesn't work 9 to 5. Your CIO works, he experiments with things on a Saturday. And so order your Azure subscription and get it in place. Another thing that I see, a crystal ball, is the use of your phone system with Teams. Start messing with that. You look at how Innovia, we didn't miss a single blink. When COVID hit, it's like nothing happened.
Right.
You look at my office. My office, half the time, Mary Beth and I are on a sailboat. Customers don't even know it.
Well, they do now. Cat's out of the bag on that one.
Yeah. A
lot of lakes in Wisconsin, though, right, Donavan?
Yeah, but and that'd be kind of a fun thing. I know we're off on 5 minutes, but those are my predictions. Get the CSP link out of the way. You're not moving to the cloud. The CSP link doesn't mean that you have to choose the cloud. Well, let me give you one more example. I had a customer call us up. They don't have any cloud licenses, but they needed 10 more Office users. So think about it. They're all on-prem. They got nothing in the cloud. Their domain controller is on-prem. Their Azure Active Directory is on-prem. But they needed to buy. They're growing. They needed to buy. They hired 10 more employees, and they need 10 more Office licenses to be put on local PCs. They called Innovia, and we can, for $8.50 a month, they got Office through Innovia. And they installed the keys and they loaded the software locally onto their desktop. It's not, all we do is Business Central, but because we are that Microsoft licensing company, if it goes across the wire, they can call us.
So Jeff and I have predictions. So here's my bold prediction. It'll be the 40th year in a row that the Bears won't have a quarterback to throw over 30 touchdowns. So that's what Aaron Rodgers does when he misses half a season, but that's another conversation, right? So anyway, Jeff, what's your bold prediction?
Let's see. We always talk Packers Bears, so I will say that I'll predict that the Packers will not win the NFC North next year.
Oh, that's a sympathy wish right there. Come on. Yeah. Anyway, you got the Lions and the Bears, right? Anyway, but hey, Donavan, once again, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day. It's been fun, and I think this just speaks to, like you said, the culture. Here's our owner and founder on another podcast with us, just kind of talking through what we kind of do, and I think that means a lot to our listeners. So, Jeff, anything else you want to add?
Nope, I'm good. Thank you, Donavan.
Thank you, Donavan. And this podcast is over. This podcast is over. Gong.